Everybody, welcome to Game Changers Club. And this is our second edition. Very excited to have Joe Dinoffer with us, the founder and president of OnCourt OffCourt, as well as Kalindi Dinoffer, the chief marketing officer. How you doing, guys?
Doing great. How about you, Billy? Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, very excited. We love these. I thought the first edition was awesome and excited to dig in here on the second edition. And yeah, so let's kick off. Let's just jump right in. I know we want to feature a couple products. Again, as we mentioned last time, I personally love, the narrative, the story, the thought process behind the products. OnCourt OffCourt is just known for such innovation, such practical innovation. I think that's the cool part, right? It's not just innovation for innovation's sake. There's practical innovation. So I love when Joe gets a chance to share some of the products, how they came about. And so, Joe, I want to turn it over to you. And would you mind kind of demoing and sharing some details on a couple products?
Yeah, absolutely, Billy. Thanks for having us. Good morning, Kalindi. We're all over the world here. I want to share when you were saying about practical. I was thinking, in modern tech terms, it would be called click and play. If you think of it that way, because training aids are meant to accelerate learning, and golfers have embraced it for decades and decades and decades because you can actually practice golf in your backyard, your swing. It's more of a solo activity. Tennis has become a little more difficult that way. And the aids that we have, generally speaking, you can do on your own. We have home practice products. There are walls on the sides of schools, after school, of course, that you can slide over to and hit tennis balls against, or pickleballs for that matter. So let's start with this will be, I'm just debating whether or not, would you guys like to cover the one pickleball one we'll discuss, or the tennis one first?
I think whatever you feel most called for. Joe will hit both of them. So.
All right, well, let's do tennis first, pickleball second, and next time we'll try to remember to do pickleball first and tennis second. This is called the Surf Right racket, and you can see it says SR. It coincidentally has one of our whistling, it's called a Whistler vibration absorber. So it's meant to enhance, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's a whistle that as you're swinging looser and faster, the device whistles. If you're slow, you don't hear it. And if you're fast, you do. So the idea of swinging fast is not necessarily an advanced concept because it ties into being relaxed. And relaxation in all sports is essential, whether it's racket sports, throwing a baseball, kicking a soccer ball, bouncing a basketball. It's controlled, but relaxation is essential. I think we know this with all physical activities. When you're walking downstairs, for example, you're not locking up your legs as you're walking downstairs. You're relaxed. And it's that kind of feeling with the arm and the wrist that will help you swing a little bit faster, or a lot faster if you want. And then the ball speed will coincide with that increased racket speed, and you'll be a better player, even if it means making some mistakes at once. Now, tennis versus pickleball grips are important, but perhaps not quite as important as tennis, because you see the recreational level that people tend to use whatever grip they can, and they can get away with it a little bit more than tennis. But there is one common grip to both sports that is essential to learn. The difference between pickleball and tennis is with pickleball, you can get away with just this one grip, which is called the continental grip, which is molded into this handle. And I was thinking about this last night, who is it applicable for? Because we put this on a 23-inch racket, which is a junior tennis racket. So it's somewhere in between the size of a regular tennis racket and a pickleball paddle. So it's kind of interesting like that. Pickleballers may find this a valuable tool as well. Now, with pickleballs bouncing off it, you'll get a little more rebound because of the strings. But the point is, let's just start off covering what is the continental grip. So in tennis, you'll have a forehand grip for topspin. You'll have a continental grip for, we'll list all the shots. It's just amazing, for many, many shots. And then if you're a more advanced player, you may nudge it towards a backhand grip for a topspin backhand. on the one-handed side. But most players will use the continental grip for serving and volleying, but it's also used for a lot of other shots. So let's just cover them and why. I'm going to give the whole picture, then we'll talk about the benefits on the serve and on the volley. Okay, similar to the serve is the overhead. So that's another shot you'll want, the continental. All chips, all returns of hard hit shots because you don't have time for grip changes, all volleys, all drop shots, all overheads, I think we said that. Defensive lobs. You can play a whole match with a continental grip. You can't play a whole match well with any other grip. So that's for tennis. And the primary things that we're using it for, and I want to explain it, is A, the serve in tennis. And then obviously the serve ties in with the overhead because it's the same motion. And then second of all, on the volley. So let's get through this a little bit. This molded handle, the big question is, who's it for? You know, it's a shorter tennis racket, all this. And I would say 100% of all juniors, unless they were born with, you know, humongous Michael Jordan hands. It'll be for probably, Kalindi, you can correct me, maybe 80% of all women, because they have smaller hands, and it may be that their pinky's a little bit off the bottom, and maybe 25% of all men, because men tend to have larger hands. But the point is that even in a modified grip where you drop, like for my hand, I'm 6'2" and I have fairly large hands. I can get used to the continental grip by putting 4 fingers on and just dropping the pinky off, which also helps us be more relaxed and have more wrist flexion. Now with this paddle, or this racket rather, what I'm going to do, whether it's a regular tennis racket or this, same thing. If you're serving, you know, we've all seen people do that patty cake. It's like they're serving pizza or holding a tray, like a waiter's tray. And then they go like this. And the challenge, you can patty cake it in, and it's kind of easier to start that way. And you see it all over the world. There's no, bar none. The problem with this, it is self-limiting. So the question is, do you want to end up at, you know, an intermediate, weak intermediate player on a worldwide scale, or do you want to have the potential to grow past that level? And to grow past that level, a continental grip is really necessary. I think it takes a little more work, and this is why we created this. It was a large investment in a mold, and we can explain why. So instead of this patty cake serve, watch my wrist. Look, I'm flexed backwards, I'm relaxed. And then when I go here, so the turn, I can't bend more because my wrist would literally break. So this range of motion, here's 90 degrees from horizontal to vertical, and then another 45 is 135 degrees. Okay, so that's the amount of swing, right, that you can get out of your wrist. Obviously, you've got a back swing and you can swing further, but the wrist is the fastest joint in the body, and that wrist action on the serve and the overhead is what gives power. And power is not just in a vacuum. Faster racket swings can also create more spin, which adds control to that power. So now we're going to shift over to the continental grip with this. And we'll see that it starts 45 degrees below horizontal, and it goes up. So that's 45 degrees. Then it goes up to vertical. That's another 90. Then it goes past, right? So actually, we've got 180 plus another 90. We've got 270 degrees of rotation compared to 135 degrees if we serve pizza and hit the tennis ball with what's called a frying pan or Western type of grip. So that range of motion, right, gives us so much more opportunity for velocity coming into the shot, into contact, right? You're only going 45 degrees, very small. But here, you're going in with a continental grip, you're going in from 135 degrees. So any way you look at it, you're expanding pre-contact from 45 degrees to 135, and then you're expanding post-contact from 45 degrees to also 135. It's huge, huge. There's no question. You don't see anyone on the professional tour. You don't see, hardly, I can't imagine anyone serving like this in a decent college or even a decent high school. Certainly you'll see it. So now the question is, okay, let's tie it into the overhead. In the overhead, it's even more consequential. And here it gets tactical. So Billy, let's say I'm playing you a match and you've got great ground strokes, and you got, a good flat serve, and you kind of push that second serve because you can hit a pretty hard serve with a flat, racket, a pizza racket, if you will, not quite as hard as the continental grip will give you, but you cannot hit spin. So if I'm playing you, right, and I know you can't flex your wrist, here's my tactic. So you can fully understand it. I know that you're going to have trouble with overheads that are hit behind you, because especially on overhead, if you get the ball behind you, you need to flex that racket. I'm going to duck down so you can see. You need to flex that racket if the overhead's behind you and I'm hitting that way, right? With the frying pan grip, you're just going to make contact in front, so you can have a longer, runway to pick up speed. But on the overhead that's a little behind your head, that's the one that if you play that way, you will be hitting that ball out because you can't change the racket angle with that grip to bring it down. So what's the tactic I would employ? Billy, any idea? I'll just engage your mind. What would I do?
I have a feeling you're going to lob quite a bit.
And how do I set you up for lobbing?
Probably by trying to draw me in a little bit. And if I take a few steps forward,
I'm going to draw you in a lot.
Yeah. And then you're going to give that lob and then you're going to
hit high and deep. So you hit relatively short chances. I wait for that short ball and then I hit a short ball. You're running from that back position all the way in, means you probably won't be able to stop very easily. You're going to be too close to the net, making it a very high percentage shot for me to hit behind you without having to hit too good a lob. Yep. And then your overhead is going to be either a poop shot that goes up real soft, or you're going to miss it by hitting it out. You will never hit those in the net.
Yeah, it's going to go off the back fence pretty often.
Yeah, it's a good way. Keeping in mind that tennis matches are usually won or lost by just a few shots. So if I did that 10 points in a set might consist of 55 points to 65 points, an average set in tennis, then I'm going to be incredibly effective. So that is, ultimately the question is, you could be a better player overall, but if I'm tactically more savvy to exploit your weaknesses, I can actually win, come out on top. Awesome. So choosing, both your legs and your racket and also this part. Very simple.
And incidentally, just tying it into pickleball, I mean, being able to hit a good overhead is super important in pickleball as well. I have actually my own little story on that front. I was playing mixed doubles, and it was kind of like, it actually drove the opponents crazy, because with the teams that we kind of very quickly identified, like, oh yeah, one of those players really, they can't hit much of an overhead, they're just pooping it back. And yeah, we just essentially picked on that player by lobbing them, and they were not very happy about it. I mean, we're like, kind of like, you guys are playing dirty, and it's like, well, it's a very effective strategy, because, so it's like, yeah, I mean, because you're obviously, with, in tennis, you have a nice, well-rounded game, you're going to be coming into the net, but you can get away with more being a counterpuncher and avoiding the net if that's your style of play, versus with pickleball, you can't win if you don't come in. So it's like, you really need that lob. And then, just kind of, it's not one of the products we're show and telling today, but the Start Right Grip Trainer is another great option that works for all ages and players. And it's just as a little tool that you can put on or off a tennis racket or pickleball.
And it can help. Yeah. This one forces you, the Start Right Grip Trainer, you actually have to read the instructions.
It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like one of my favorites. I think the instructions are easy. We have some other very nice videos. Well, how about this? We're going to feature the Start Right Grip Trainer in our next Game Changer webinar. Since now I'm like,
Yeah, I'm a fan of both, but I think every child starting tennis, and particularly women, because of the hand size, should have one of these. They're not expensive at all. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about, not about the product, but general advice on how to check your continental grip. So here's a tennis racket. And what you want to do is, if you can set it up so that I hit, like a hatchet kind of motion or a hammer motion. The continental grip's also called the hammer grip for many decades. And if you hit and the racket goes underneath your elbow and taps your forearm, you're choked up, but you're holding a continental grip, and then you just slide it down, and then it would be like hammering a nail. That's one way to get it. If, on the other hand, you're used to that pizza grip like this, then when you bend it, it's going to miss your arm on the inside. The racket's going to pass in line with the middle of your chest. And if you're on the other side, the racket's, you see, it's going to go there. It's going to miss your arm. So picking it up so it touches your elbow, as you can see, and then just sliding it down. And it's the same as we force you to do, because these have grooved finger slots. I think you can see it pretty well here against the contrast. And there's only one way to hold it, like that. Now, another exercise that you can do at home, which I really like, is choke up to start. Make sure you got the right grip by tapping underneath here. If you really have trouble, I mean, this might sound funny, but put a piece of duct tape around your hand. Don't be afraid. In the old days, we would take off the grip, get a glove, glue, put the hand on with the glove, put on glue, put it on the racket, and then when you want to practice, just slide your hand into the glove. And obviously, if it's sweaty and you got various players wanting to test it, it's kind of yucky, but we've been trying for, years and years and years, how to help people, because this is so important. So this little exercise you can do at home is you find your grip, and then you just want to open that racket face. This ties into the volley, and you just spin it. Now I'm using a pickleball, just because it's a little harder than a tennis ball on strings, but you can see I'm getting backspin, and then I can switch with the same grip and spin both ways. So it's under without changing grip. With the volley, you get, with the continental grip, you get the same angle, whether you're getting a forehand or backhand volley, which is pretty incredible. And it simplifies a lot of things when you don't have to worry about changing the racket angle or doing this and then going like this for a backhand and not being able to hit balls that are hit at you. A lot of limitations on the volley. And again, we have devices like the catching racket, because the volley is not a swing. It's really like receiving the ball and cradling the ball. Like if someone tossed you something very delicate, you would catch it softly. That's all. You wouldn't smack it. So I
need that product personally, because I'm always smacking my volleys into the net.
So bottom line is, great training aid, very, very helpful. You can do it at home. It'll allow you to learn spin. I want to mention one more thing about backspin or underspin. Some people call it slice. Slice, we usually call it on the serve, it's side spin. And it's really an incredible phenomenon that took me years to realize. And it is when that hitting slice off an incoming topspin ball, once you reach that level where you're playing against players that can hit topspin on ground strokes, hitting underspin means if the ball's coming in like this, forwards, right? Whether tennis or pickleball. Tennis gets more ball rotation than pickleball because of the nature of the soft ball and soft strings. But if it's coming in like this and you hit underspin, right? It's coming in topspin and you hit underspin, the ball's direction, how it's spinning, does not change. So that's going to be incredibly more efficient than having to, you get an incoming ball with topspin and then you have to swing up to change the ball's direction. Requires a lot more energy and the timing is a lot more difficult. That's why you'll find that players that hit slices, it's less fatiguing, it's easier to be consistent, and it's a good backup when you have to play defense and you're reaching for shots just to go like that, because to reach out and hit that top spin when you're on the run, it's quite difficult. So efficiency of play, higher levels of play, variety of play tactically, better serve. The serve is, gosh, our statistics are over 40% of all the swings at the ball are serves in tennis, because you get 2 serves. It's incredible. You can return serve by chipping on the return of serve. And that'll get you up to 78% of all swings at the ball in tennis, because the points are shorter. Pickleball's a little different. Tennis average shot can be 2.5, 3 hits, depending on the surface and what playing level. You know, serve, return, and 1 more shot. That's the average. You remember the long points when you hit 20, 30 shots, but then you don't remember the ones where the return is missed, it's a double fault, et cetera, et cetera. We always remember the great points, you know? And in pickleball, interestingly, the average shot is 9 hits, much longer. So why I'm saying that is the serve being underhand in pickleball, and also the points being shorter, the importance of the serve related to the continental grip, for example, is not as essential as tennis, but because pickleball is played faster, changing grips is not practical. In pickleball, your reaction time is half what it is in tennis, half. The baseline to baseline takes 1 second. Tennis is about 2 seconds for an average player. So kind of interesting, continental grip, if you want to get better.
That's
Any
awesome.
questions on that one from you guys or additions?
I mean, I was just going to comment, just speaking from personal experience, since well, you actually taught me the continental grip as like the first grip that I learned when I was starting, you know, tennis at like 10 and a half. That is still the grip I feel the most comfortable with. So I feel like there's something to be said of like whatever grip somebody learns first is what they will feel more comfortable with, for better and worse. So I feel like I've always felt a little bit, I've had to work harder to feel more confident with my forehand, versus I feel like people that maybe start with a forehand grip seem to have their forehand as their favorite shot. But then when you think about it, that's only 1 shot. You're missing volleys, overhead serves, backhands, because even the backhand, you're, you know, like, at least for me, I do a 2-handed backhand. So my right hand is again in a continental grip, slice backhand. And, you know, slicing your forehand may not be as common, but it can be very effective when used. It also lets you mix in drop shots. It just, there's so much versatility. So yeah, I'm all for that. And I think any young player starting off should, you know, just start with the continental grip, and then they can, it's easy. All they have to do is learn 1 more grip, the forehand grip, from there, and they have everything else covered. They can learn, like, my kick serve is one of my favorite shots, again, thanks to the continental grip. If you learn that grip right away, you can, I think it allows you to do that. And then,
So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, totally. It's such a good point. And, you know, here's the question. So if you got 2 primary grips, if you're, I'm right-handed hitting tennis balls. So you got continental, and then you've got Eastern, semi-Western, or Western forehand grip that allows you to hit topspin. Continental grip doesn't do well with topspin. So now the question is, what's the limitation of the continental grip? You can't hit forehand topspins, right? If you play against somebody using a continental grip on their forehand, just hit them high balls. They're going to have trouble. So you roll your topspin, get it up to there, and then they're going to be very weak up here. That's the limitation of the continental grip for everything. That's it. So switching over, then your racket head can close on high balls, and you can come in and still brush up. Now, what's the limitation of playing with this frying pan or, you know, pizza service grip, right? Let's list them. A, you're going to have a flat serve, very predictable. You're going to have a poofy, very soft, pushy second serve that just, you know, can get smashed, right? You're going to have an impossible time hitting low volleys because the racket doesn't open with this grip. So if you play somebody with this grip at the net, I can also draw you in a little bit, Billy, and then hit you low volleys. If you come in too close, because you're going to want to come close because you don't want the ball to drop, right? So you're going to get on top of that net so you can grab the ball before and hit down, and that grip will work for that. But then I have the option of lobbing. If I get the ball behind you, again, you're in deep caca. You just can't handle that. So continental grip, essential. I chalk this up to one of the challenges that tennis has as a sport, because it is so self-limiting. You get a lot of gratification right up front, just using, that frying pan kind of grip. You pick it up as you would anything. But I'll tell you, there are many things you do in life that hold it with the continental grip. One of them is when you go down a handrail and there's stairs, you're holding a continental grip most of the time. When you pick up a suitcase, the handle, you're holding a continental grip. It's a very strong position anatomically, as well as range of motion and flexibility with the wrist for your tennis and pickleball. So I think that's in a nutshell, the story of the continental grip and how to learn it and the importance of it. We call it the advanced foundation. Getting to that advanced foundation, then your game can blossom. It's like, you have a little flower and you forget to water it and it dies. People plateau and then they quit. It's frustrating. If you don't improve, you see your friends improve and do this and get to higher levels. You don't make the team, USTA team, recreational team, wherever you live in the world. It's tough without a continental grip.
Yeah, that's great.
Serve right racket. Check it out. And again, not expensive. 5 kids learning tennis. I would get a few and give it to the teaching pro. They're less expensive than a 30-minute lesson. In many places, we're about the same cost. What a deal. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a wonderful overview. Love just even the lesson on the continental grip. It's definitely going to get me out there. And
just side note to the Whistler vibration damper, which was not one of our featured products of the day, but then slid its way in there, kind of like the Start Right Grip Trainer. That's like my main dampener that I use for everything. And you do get more of a whistle sound when it's at the top, but I just have it at the throat like a regular dampener. And it's like not so loud that it's annoying, but it's just loud enough that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I swung really relaxed and gave me that little, positive feedback.
Yeah, that's true. That's awesome.
So
I wonder if we could flip one on the top of table tennis paddles, Kalindi.
Maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, try gluing it to one of those kitchen, like potato chip bag clips, and glue it to the top or something.
Anyway. See,
product invented.
Yeah.
This is how it happens. In case anyone's
Exactly.
curious how products get invented.
Not only how they're invented, but then we even saw Joe's process for how he tests the theory. Right? He's like, "Oh, we're gonna get a potato chip bag clip. We can just stick that on there. We'll give this thing a test, see how it works." Those are your minimum viable products.
Yeah, you don't have to hire a $20,000 consultant to stick a little thing on it, glue it on the top, or tape it on.
We need to do product development webinars too, just to talk about how you test ideas and construct viable product ideas.
That'd be fun. That could be a theme on one of our next Game Changer Club webinars. Just like, hey, let's talk product development.
I will say we may be running out of time for this one as far as the pickleball arrow goes, but we were getting so many calls, like at least 1-2 a week, for people with ideas, and most ideas are not viable, as we learned from Benjamin Franklin, was it, who electricity, and it took 1,000 failures before he got to that success, right, or whatever the story was. But I did, you want to let people down gracefully to keep friends if they're really passionate about their ideas. And anyone that comes up with an idea and pitches it is like they think they have sliced bread. That's natural, and you don't want to just shoot them down and say, no, I don't think it's viable, but thanks for your time. Click. So I was finding I would spend at least an hour or more speaking with people. So I did a webinar at a major conference, the PTR International Symposium. And on our website at the bottom, as you guys know, there is a link for product submissions. And I have an article I wrote for National Magazine, plus these, I think the hour web seminar was live at a conference, is in 4 sections. And it will potentially save anyone interested or trying to write up new ideas, come up with new ideas for products. It can save you thousands of hours and thousands of dollars just to watch that 1-hour seminar. We cover copyrights, trademarks, provisional patents, utility patents, and design patents.
Is that video something available? Maybe we could link it to this page. People could.
Yeah, it's all free access. It's all free
All right.
access, so you guys can do that.
All right. Well, we'll make sure we add a link to that on the page as well.
Yeah,
So
and now we just
great
ask
feedback.
people respectfully to watch that before they contact us.
Yes, that's good.
So I guess on this note, since we just had a 30 to 40 minute long lesson on the continental grip, should we save the pickleball arrow for our next webinar?
Yeah,
here's the glance at it.
This is the trailer.
People.
He's gonna. This is the trailer for next time.
All right,
everyone.
cool.
Yeah, or a teaser trailer, right?
Yeah. This is the trailer.
So if you in pickleball, unlike tennis, dink shots is a prominent part of the game. And if you want to improve your dinks, your control over direction, arc, spin, and depth, this little device is just incredible. I mean, it's super inexpensive. And if you want to control it really fast, you can play with a partner. You can do it against the wall. And essentially, it extends your control over direction. But we can cover that in detail because there are a lot more information we can share about the reasons why. What percentage of your shots in pickleball will be dinks? It's a surprising statistic, very high. So
that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love how you.
Preview. Plus, we kind of started inventing a new sport, like merging tennis and pickleball together. Since Joe was using a pickleball with a tennis racket, which will either greatly offend people or people will think that's really fun and cool. And tennis and pickleball are already starting to become better friends, so it's nice.
Is that called?
They're starting to acknowledge that they're related.
Is that called tickleball? Sorry, that's terrible. I have an 8-year-old. So that's the dad jokes coming out of me. I'm sorry.
That wasn't that bad. That's something I might have said, and then said, "Oops."
How new products and sports are invented. Moving on.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're getting more comfortable with these calls. This is good. This is where the personality is shining. But no, and I love it. And I will say too, Joe, I really love not just obviously the product review, but then the tactical, the idea, the thought process, right? Because again, that comes to this idea of, practical innovation and tactical innovation, right? There's a reason why this is a game changer webinar, right? So it's about how do we use tools, ideas, thoughts, mindset to elevate us to the next level in the way that we perform, both on court, off court. Look at that. I put game changers and on court, off court together.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So, but it is, and I love it. And I love that because it is, it's not just a training aid. It's not just about getting a product. It's about the mindset, the way you go about the approach that you take to see the elevation in the things that you're going after. So love that. That was a great segment. And so why don't we pivot now to the wellness section. So as we shared last time, this is again on-court, off-court, and mindset and wellness and the way we use our bodies, think about our bodies, has such a pivotal role in the way that we perform. And I know something that's really near and dear to Kalindi. And so we'd love to have you walk us through some ideas on wellness and I think some mindfulness exercises.
Yeah. So thanks, Billy. I'm super passionate about that, and it kind of just stemmed from my own journey with injuries and just anxiety on the court and off the court, and just have found I feel like tennis is and pickleball, any sport really, but especially the sports I feel like where it's you're an individual out there or a doubles team, it's like a playground for life kind of. With a lot of the, even when you think about the scoring in tennis, it's kind of mirroring, you've got love and you've got all these different things happening, right? So this mindfulness exercise that I was going to share today is one of my favorites because it's something that you can do anywhere since it actually integrates. It's about the sounds in the environment. So, a lot of times I hear people say, oh, I have trouble finding a time that I can, practice mindfulness or meditate because like it's noisy or like, I need like a quiet space. So it's actually not true. You can, part of the whole point of learning, how to focus and how to be mindful is doing it when there are distractions. So this exercise is essentially integrating the distractions, and then for that reason becomes a really good one to do before, say, a tennis match if you're at a tournament or a pickleball tournament and it's loud and noisy and you have all those noises and distractions. So with that, let's get started. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat and just take any little movements that feel good here to get comfortable. And if it feels good to you, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, take a soft, unfocused gaze in front of you. Just exhale, let all your air out, and then allow that inhale breath to come naturally. Do that a couple more times, letting go of anything that happened in the past, letting go of any worries about the future, arriving in this moment. And beginning to notice any sounds that may be around you. And seeing if you can notice those sounds without any judgment. Oh, that's a loud sound, or that's an annoying sound, or it's a nice sound. Just letting go of any of those labels and just noticing those sounds with a curiosity, like you've never heard them before. Just noticing them. And if any judgments do enter your mind, just treating those nicely, letting them float by, imagining they're a little cloud. It's just, oh, okay, that's a judgment about that sound. I'm just gonna let that float on by. And just noticing sounds near and far. All the while staying connected to your breath, those easy inhales and exhales. And then beginning to draw your attention to the sounds within your own body, seeing what you notice there. Again, seeing if you can notice these sounds within your body without any judgment. Just noticing. Perhaps you might notice the sound your breath makes. Perhaps you might notice the sound your heart makes. Allowing yourself to notice any and all sounds, and even the absence of any sounds. And now taking in sounds both inside your body and outside your body. Just noticing all the sounds in and around you. Noticing them with a non-judgmental mind, curiosity. Simply noticing. And know that if your mind has wandered at all during this exercise, that's perfectly okay. Anytime your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the present moment and the sounds around you. And now take a few easy breaths again, letting go of your focus on the sounds. And wiggling your fingers and toes and taking any gentle movements as you open your eyes and return to your surroundings. How is that for you both?
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, so that was a few minutes. So that's the kind of thing, I mean, you can do that for as long as 20 or 30 minutes or just 30 seconds, but these types of exercises can be really helpful to help find that center and balance, which can often be very, elusive as we're in a competitive state before or even during competition. Something like this could even be done on a, break between games, just to help recenter so we're not in that tighter, anxious state.
Even waiting in line at a supermarket.
Oh yeah, absolutely, anywhere.
I noticed, Kalindi, also for the first time doing this, is that the hearing tied into feeling at the same time, especially when you meant the heart, and you can kind of feel the blood, hear the blood pumping through your body, and it's a feeling of the heart beating, it's a feeling of the breath, but it's triggered through hearing.
Very, very interesting observation. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and most of us don't like doing this or want to take the time because we could get bored or whatever. But if you think of the benefit of 2-3 minutes a day in terms of efficiency, relationships, patience, lowering stress, good health benefits, this is a very easy meditation kind of thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just talking about a few minutes. So, I think the statistics say we spend how many hours, not minutes, on our phone, on email and social media and mindless searching. So, just taking some of those minutes and redirecting them can, make a big impact.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's amazing how, those devices we use as almost a way to numb or turn off certain things.
Yeah.
When you can just take a moment to, just intentionally just be present. And
many people know that it's kind of like if people have spiritual practices, then it can, enhance those practices, whether you call them prayer, meditation, mindfulness. There's so much overlap, getting in touch with who you are for those moments.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely take moments every time in my prayer where it's not just a communication, it's just a being there and allowing, you to receive. And that's it's very important. So thank you. That was awesome, Kalindi.
Kind of on that note, just the last kind of thought, I've always liked, I don't know who said it, but I feel like someone said it where it's like, prayer is like when you're talking to, to the divine, to a higher power, however you know that, and meditation is when you're listening. So communication is a two-way street. So yes, I think all of us could probably, most people can probably use a little more time where they're listening. Like, we have 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason.
Yep. Just be slow to speak and quick to listen. Awesome. All right. And so this is a good segue into our poetry reading. So, we love Joe gets a chance to share, multifaceted, multi-talented Joe Dinoffer. And we got to share last time. It was awesome. And again, just as somebody who has both of these poetry books, super well made, super high quality, really, just really thoughtful and well done productions. And so, Joe, would you mind sharing from one of those?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to a poem, but I thought from the first book of poems called The Father's Love. Yes, that's Kalindi at 13 and a half or 14. I can't
something like that
quite remember. Photo taken in Carmel, California. And she's now 29. And public congratulations. I don't know if this will get posted in 5 weeks. She's celebrating her marriage.
Woo!
Yeah, and with Josh Warren, a super special person. I'm very happy. So in the introduction, I talk about storytelling. And I was thinking, well, this applies for parenting. It's not just my story, but it applies to all parents. But also it can apply to tennis, pickleball coaches of any sport, teachers, because people are engaged more powerfully when stories are told. And that's just a common understanding and employed by so many teachers. So I'll just read from here. It's short. And this is in the introduction, again, from A Father's Love. There was a story I used to tell Kalindi when she was young. And we're talking between 2 and 5 years old at that time. That resonated powerfully with her. Although I'm not a very talkative person, you can, here you might think I am, but generally I'm not too talkative. I stuck to that one story and told it again and again with new episodes to keep her interest. This one story developed a life of its own and spanned a couple of years and beyond. Between the ages of 3 and 5, she must have heard it at least once a week and sometimes daily. The ongoing theme of the story was cooperation. What parent doesn't want their child to grow up to be cooperative, right? So since parenting is seldom taught in schools, it's my hope that this concept may help other families as well. I always joke a little bit, you have to really take the initiative to learn about parenting or relationships. They're not taught commonly in education. Here's the gist of the story. It's 3 very short paragraphs, maybe 10 sentences. Once there was a small village. Now this is the story I would tell her when she was young, where 2 little girls lived. They were both 6 years old and had loving parents. And note that I projected it to that next age for her because she was young. Obviously, this is just a sample story. Create your own. If it's about coaching, you talk about the happy tennis player who makes it on the high school team, what they had to do, and the person that doesn't make it and what they didn't do and how sorry they felt, whatever. In fact, they were both 6 years old and had loving parents. In fact, they lived next door to one another and their homes were identical, except one of the houses was happy and the other was sad. In the happy home, there were flowers in the yard and the sun was always shining through the windows with beautiful flowers. The family living inside was always smiling, laughing, and having fun. The little girl had many toys and regularly received wonderful gifts from her parents. They all cooperated with one another, making this a truly happy home. However, the sad home was very different. The flowers in the yard had died from neglect, and only weeds poked through the poor excuse for a front yard. The sky above this house was dismal and gray, emitting a continuous cold drizzle. Toys? The little girl had few toys, and those she had were old and worn. The family members argued daily, and the little girl was unhappy and cried often. It was a very sad home. Nobody cooperated with anyone. Now, after this introduction, I'd create different little sample stories of daily life events, which gave opportunities for the little happy girl to cooperate with her parents, as well as describe how the sad girl would not cooperate. And I continued, our daughter got to choose which home she wanted to live in. The ongoing story was one of my parenting highlights, and my heart glowed when little Kalindi would ask me, tell me about that happy little girl, and what about the sad one? Thank goodness she chose the happy home and became a cooperative member of our family. She's been that way ever since. So whether it was this simple storytelling or just her nature, we'll never know. Cooperation was the first long word she could pronounce. Cooperation. 5 syllables, a lot for a 2-year-old, right? Yeah, and I like to think this story made a difference in all our lives. So that's the type of book it is. It's to experience, the lives of your child, the ups and downs, which are inevitable. Yeah, I'll read this one. It's Aging Past 25. It's, I believe, the last. Yeah, it's the last poem, I think. Yeah, it's fairly short, and then I'll be done. Aging Past 25. And it shows kind of the changing bodies, where the external body changes as we grow, right? My daughter turned around to become a 1/4 century but still so young. Of course, I don't age. Brian is saying, dare say different? Let's race. I'm game. Our song, still unsung. 1 minute we're young, and I blink later, and we're almost done. We just don't believe that age will treat us like everyone else. Is God cruel on purpose? No escape from old age? Don't be so black. I beg to differ. Not me. It's not going to happen to me. Quack, quack. Is it possible in this world at all to avoid the ledge from which we fall, to surprise and revise medical books without relying on past good looks, and live a little past expectations where we continue our celebrations? Yes, shouts inner self, give me a chance. The soul sings out, just watch me dance.
Awesome. That was great. Thank you, Joe.
Sharing, yeah.
And I love the story, the story on storytelling. And that is amazing. What a effective, meaningful way to communicate through narrative. And yeah, that was awesome. All right, moving on to our next section, we get to share some insight and some new products that are coming out. So let me share my screen real quick.
Cool. Yeah, and I think last time I think we previewed a few of these, and now they've actually come out. So it's
right. We had our trailers. Now they're live in a theater near you. All right. So let's go into our first product, the Rebounder Deluxe. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this product. And
Kalindi, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah.
And then I can fill in if I have additional thoughts. Or...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so this one is, it's really awesome. I think it's the only rebounder that I know of that's, out there on wheels of this kind of quality. It works for tennis and pickleball, and it's really neat. You can see in the picture the angle position versus vertical position, so you can change the angles, which changes the rebound angle and allows you to practice different shots. So you can practice pretty much any shot in tennis and pickleball that you can possibly imagine. Volleys, overhead serves, ground strokes, slice shots, topspin shots. Anything with, you can use regular yellow balls, you can use any of the tennis transition balls.
I want to answer one thing on just the angle, and then I'll let you continue, Kalindi. We created and designed the angle to go to 15 degrees, and that's a magic number. That's the number that you can practice off to get a more realistic rebound with ground strokes. Like the backboards that we exclusively offer, the realistic backboards are called realistic backboards because they're set at 15 degrees and you get an arc. Most backboards come back, if you hit against a straight wall, they come back straight and they bounce very short and low, and they don't give you that realistic arc and the realistic bounce off the ground. So very good, and you can use it vertically if you're working on, for example, overheads. You can hit down on the ground. We have videos on the webpage too. Kalindi, go on.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, as the next picture in this collage shows, it folds up which again, the video, Coach Jorge Capistani was kind enough to do some testing and product pictures and videos for us, and he's an awesome partner. And he was kind of highlighting one of the things that he really loves about it is how you can just easily fold it together so it stores smaller. So for example, if you're using the rebounder in your, say, garage and you have it set up, you pull out your car and then, okay, time to put it away. You can just fold it together and put it against the side wall, or in this case, this is at an indoor club. It's, hiding out behind a curtain. So yeah, lots of great uses. And of course, it being on wheels makes it easy to move around and adjust as well. And I think the final thing I was going to mention is that, we added a pretty wide green, green border around it. to kind of help people hone in on target areas and where they're aiming.
Yeah, and the whole system is 7 by 10 feet. Sets up in a few minutes. The wheels are locking wheels. So if you hit it without locking it, it might roll away, from the impact. So locking and then unlocking the wheels to move it out of position is possible.
Yes, definitely lock your wheels before you start hitting. Unless you want to have it be a moving rebounder for the extra challenge, and you have to hit
Right? Chasing it down the street, down a hill.
Could see that being one of those like funny home videos. That's not so funny.
We need Mr. Rowan Atkins, Mr. Bean. I'm not sure what's his name. He would be chasing it down a hill, hitting and running.
Yeah, Mr. Bean. And yeah, I guess just last thing, with the way the netting is made, it really absorbs the power very well. So you can be a very advanced player, like, college level and beyond, and hit all out on it, and it's going to let you hit in a controlled area. So it really is for all levels of
versus a backboard backboard where it's going to go over a further area.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something I think that's going to be great for parents and families and kids to have in their driveway or garage, or coaches to have at their club as a station, an option for either it can be a station on court and nice fun rotation systems, or can be set up, if a player doesn't have anyone to play with, and they can use this instead of a ball machine or a backboard. Lots of options. And
I also thought, Kalindi, if we don't have that in our description, that since noise is a big discussion topic these days with pickleball, the silent backboard.
Oh yeah, that's a great
because
point.
it does backboards at clubs. There's a problem with people hitting on adjacent courts, or your neighbor may be annoyed. You may want to practice before work, and this is absolutely a silent way to hit against a backboard due to the netting. Yeah,
that's a great point. Awesome. Yeah, fantastic product. All right, let's take a look at another one. This is a amazing product. Had a chance to use this myself, the Infinity Play System. And so would you please share about this super innovative, product? I love this.
Yeah, so I'll give a little overview, and then I would love for Joe to share. I think this one would be great. He spent a while developing this, so would love to hear from Joe more on that. But yeah, it's awesome. It's basically a combination of, you can kind of see where the little girl is holding the multi-twist mini. So it's basically two products in one, because with this, you get the Infinity Play System, the system part, and then you also get the multi-twist mini ball machine, which you can then connect them together, and it's super cool. So I play table tennis as well, and I have a table tennis ball machine, and I was like, dang, these are way better than any tennis ball machines, because it connects to the table and you never have to pick up balls. Who likes picking up balls? Versus with normal ball machines, you have to pick up balls. You certainly couldn't use a ball machine in your driveway, because you would really drive your neighbors crazy with balls hitting their windows and all kinds of things. Maybe your own window. Yeah, not great. So with this, basically the ball will feed out, and then you'll hit it into the netting, and it rolls in back into the machine, and you never have to pick up balls as long as you get it into the netting. And it works with pickleballs, tennis balls, including all colors of transition balls: red, orange, and green. As you can see, super light. That girl looks to be about 7. She's picking that up with no problem. So, and again, Coach Jorge Capistani nicely demonstrating how compact it folds up for storage. And of course, if you did want to play on a court, you could take the multi-twist mini ball machine with you and use it like a regular machine where you pick up the balls. So yeah, Joe, can you share a little more about the development?
Sure. Some technical details about the machine first. But before, the whole system, great garage option, and it moves very easy. We didn't put it on wheels because it's a little bit smaller than the Rebounder Deluxe we just saw, and it's also lighter to just slide. Two people could obviously pick it up, or just one person, and move it very, very easily. And the ball machine, it has a sleeve that goes over the multi-twist mini, which is made for us exclusively worldwide by Sports Tutor, which is the largest and arguably the most dependable and well-respected ball manufacturing company in the world. They make machines for multiple sports. And this is smaller than the original tennis twist or the current multi-twist, which handles pickleballs as well as tennis balls. And it holds about 14 balls, I think. So it's not bad because you really don't want to sit there necessarily and always hit forever and ever. You should take a pause with the Infinity Play System. It operates on batteries. So it's, I think, 6D batteries, if I'm not mistaken. And battery length for average play, at least 6 months, you know, unless you're using it 6 hours a day. And it's got a little like a kicker. So it's not a ball machine that's propelled with wheels or air pressure. It's a ball machine that has 5 levels of force, which translates into the distance the balls are thrown. And you want to adjust those, and our instructions give recommendations for the different types of balls. And then because you're hitting into a relatively small target zone, this machine doesn't throw the balls too far. So even a decently athletic beginner, or for sure an intermediate, would be able to practice hitting into the machine. Easy. If you want to practice your serve, you just catch the ball, right? And then serve it into this target, and then you don't have to go bend down or whatever. You just like that. So there's so many ways to practice, and videos are on our site. Yeah.
Well, as someone who's had a chance to use it, I can just say, one, I was really impressed with the quality of the design, plus the size of it. I thought at first maybe it was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of a small target, you know, you gotta be really on it, but it's actually quite big, the dimensions of it. My son's been using it. I've been using it. It's been fantastic.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
How old's your son?
He's 8 years old.
Oh, nice.
And so one summer in having a device that entertains him automatically has been a huge win. So that alone, not having to feed him balls and him being able to feel like he can set it up and play and everything has been awesome. Yeah, really, really great device. One thing also that I've been thinking about starting to use it with is actually also putting a sweet spot trainer on my racket with this. Because, you know, you can have a more of a, you don't have to go all out. Like you could have it where it's a little bit in front. So you just really focus on getting that right spot or as well. So I've been thinking about throwing the sweet spot trainer on top of it and taking a few swings, but yeah, it's a great tool.
Great idea.
And, you know, if your son ever, you know, wants to improving his throwing and catching skills, like for baseball, you know, baseball would be too hard, right, to use, but the pickleball is similar to a wiffle ball, and obviously a tennis ball is a tennis ball, but he could catch, you know, use it for fielding practice, right? You could potentially start him further back and have him charge the grounder and then throw it into the netting.
And he did actually find the wiffle ball aspect. So he threw some pickleballs in there and with the wiffle ball bat, and he was definitely taking some hacks
Nice,
with the wiffle ball bat.
If he stood close, he could use a bat. You know, they may not all go into the netting.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of different options, you know, like T-ball.
Yep.
Yeah, all these different things. Awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, very
awesome
exciting.
thing.
And again, this is all about helping people to have fun, build their self-esteem through improving with less pain and effort. Improvement shouldn't be a struggle. It should be something that you look forward to doing because it's fun and you do get some quick gratification from your improvement. And then, you know, as well, obviously there are health and wellness benefits through fitness, family, the social aspect. Keep your kids, you know, being productive and engaged. We are physical beings on the outside, and we need to engage that physicality.
Yeah, well, as someone who lives in a suburb with, you know, not a big backyard and, you know, the temptation of devices and phones and all those things, it's nice that in a pretty concentrated area, backyard, back patio, garage, you know, he can have something that exactly by himself, he can be engaged, has lots of fun. And so, yeah, no, it's been awesome.
Neighborhood kids would want to come over and play. So it increases socialization, most probably. and they can hit on the machine, run around a cone and alternate hitting, or quick feet through a ladder and alternate hitting.
That's fantastic.
There you go. At events, you get prizes for how many in a row they hit in the netting.
Yeah.
You know, so much you can do. Warm-up court for tournaments when you're short on courts.
It's awesome. So much to do. And this is great. And so, yeah, for those that are watching, you know, the full length presentation on this page, there's going to be links to all of the products that we mentioned, as well as this other video that we mentioned. We're going to make sure we have everything there for you. So we really want to create the Game Changers to be, you know, a place where you can learn, you can grow new ideas, thoughts. And so Joe, Kalindi, I thank you both so much for participating. This is great. It's awesome to hear the backstory and everything, because really the OnCourt OffCourt brand is a brand that cares, that's in it, means what they're doing. They're very intentional in everything they make. I'm personally blessed to be able to work with Joe and Kalindi. So thank you both for your time and another Game Changer Club webinar.
Awesome.
Billy, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Billy. Yeah, so much fun. And just, yeah, also want to, you know, encourage people to, if you have any questions, ideas, comments, product ideas after watching that video that Billy mentioned, what we posted on there, just, yeah, we want this to be an open forum for, you know, discussion and community and, yeah, all of that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. And that concludes this session of Game Changers. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.